My mother was from Ireland, came over when she was 19 years old. She was, her passport indicated that she was a housekeeper, and she was 19. It was 1929. She went through LSI, and she went to nursing school, became a nurse. Married my father, who was interning in New York. He was from Mississippi, and she had a couple of her sisters came over to live with us, and they got married and were still. One of them has died, the other one's still alive, Dolly Brennan. Or Brands was her married name. And she has two daughters, and they both live in Amarillo, Texas. My mother, we had 4 children. She had 4 children. I'm the oldest. Brother Jeremiah, brother Michael, brother Donnie, and we have a cousin from Ireland who my mother brought over and raised as our sister. And we perceived her as our sister. She was part of the inheritance that was left, was divided equally between us. So Mary Brennan, who lives in New York City, is from my point of view, is my sister, but technically she's my first cousin. The basic story was she left, she came to New York City. Uncle Dan lived with her in Staten Island. She went to nursing school, became a nurse. I remember seeing a picture of her sitting out on the lawn after she had graduated and had gone to work and was night supervisor, and she went from this woman housekeeper, horn-rimmed glasses, to this chic 1920-ish professional woman. And it was a stunning change. I mean, I remember visually, and then and I think she was always a really highly trained professional medical person, but because she married a doctor, she didn't continue her nursing career, but she was still a very astute professional, and she carried around the memories of the poverty and the Great Famine. And my father happened to be a compulsive gambler, and I think that just she could not understand how he could be so destructive in his finances that she never really got over that. I think she went to her death never having figured out how to do that.
Would they then fight about money, and what were some things
it was always an issue, and he would persuade all the boys in the family that you guys are living a good life, and I'm bringing home the bacon and everything. I just want to have my little fun over here, and it's not going to hurt anybody. And we bought into that. And my mother was isolated and had no leverage. Her leverage would have been a divorce, and that's wasn't going to happen. That just wasn't going to happen.
Not in that day and age.
No, not
Catholic.
from where as Catholic as she is. And then my aunts wind up marrying people that, well, two pharmacists, and their relationships were not happy, and those were, my mother promoted those marriages, and it was hard to look at this. It's hard to, I mean, this is not an easy thing to sit down and talk with you about that. Boy, I must have a hell of a lot of trust in you as a member of the family, and hopefully this message will filter itself down, so to speak, and be helpful for people getting a perspective of where they came from and where they're going. I've been working on the farm for 5 years, and I was getting to a point where one day I came off of the racetrack at Oakland Park and went to the backstretch kitchen, get breakfast, and sometime like 6:30 in the morning. Get up at 5 and feed the horse, take them out. About 6:30, when I was eating breakfast, and right over close to me was about 3 guys, old guys, in their 70s, and they're talking about the young horses that they're doing. I'm 24, 23, 24 years old. And I look at these old guys and I hear their conversations, and I'm saying, oh my God, you're going to tell me that 30 years from now, 40 years from now, that's where I'm going to be? I said, no way. And I got a click. And I decided I needed to leave the horse business. I wanted to go back. I wanted to become a teacher. And when you make some of those kinds of decisions, you want the first person you want to tell is somebody that you trust and you know is going to support what you're trying to do. So I called my mother. And I was understood, should please do something that has social redeeming value. And I knew that she wanted us out of the horse business. I told her the story. And there was just silence, and then she said, if your father has a heart attack over this, it's going to be your fault. And I will tell you, I have never been so stunned in my life. And I had one response. I hung up the telephone. Never said a word. And then I told my brothers, and they all supported me and said they'd work with us, handle the transition. And you go back to school. I went back to Arkadelphia, Arkansas, commuted from the farm in Hot Springs to Arkadelphia, Henderson State Teachers College, school with a heart. Went down there, and every morning I'd come down there to have breakfast at the student union, and the Beatles were playing. And I just said, God, this is, I think I'm on the right path. Once I had gone through that, I could move around in academia, either as a teacher, administrator, worked in public schools, private colleges, and it gave me a lot of options in my life. I made a lot of decisions, around that, and I stand on my mother's shoulders. I mean, currently, we're sitting here in Maui in a Kihei on a nice day. I'm standing on her shoulders. She came from people that lived on 40-acre rock farms, who went down to the beaches in the cold North Sea and got the seaweed and carried it up year after year, generation after generation, building up the soil so that they could raise dairy farms. They were 40-acre dairy farms that had a lot of kids on it. And my mother's options were, I'm going to marry somebody with land. Most likely they weren't going to inherit it in anything. They married somebody with land, become a nun, or migrate. And they were cold, hard realities